and welcome back to Vitale Style. Today I'm doing a makeup tutorial on this look, which is the look I wore in my shoe haul. That's right, in my shoe haul, and I think my clothing haul as well. I wore this look. This is also the look I wore in Italy pretty much all the time. The only difference is that I'm wearing a different lipstick than I wore in Italy, which I wore the Revlon Revolution lipstick in Native. I just can't find mine today. It's in my purse, so I use a different lipstick, which is the combination I use is very, very similar to that. And I just didn't bring the liner all the way into the eye. I kind of just left it in the very corner. And I think that's it. And I did use a different foundation because my Dior is a little bit too dark. But as far as the eyes, the blush, the bronzer, the highlight, liner, everything is exactly the same thing as I wore in Italy, and it's exactly the same thing that I wore in my video, on my shoe haul video, my clothing haul that you have all been requesting a makeup tutorial on this look. So here it is, and I hope you enjoy it, and let me know your thoughts below. So I've already moisturized my skin. I used my Pond's dry skin moisturizer that I use all the time, and now I'm gonna put my primer on, which I'm using the Makeup Forever HD primer. Now this is the look that I wore in Italy, like I said. The only difference is I'm using a different foundation, which this is also a foundation I brought to Italy with me, and I used it a little bit there as well, because my Dior one is just a little too dark for me right now. I kind of lost my tan on my face, mostly. And I'm actually going to go to Sephora this week and pick up the Sephora brand that you guys all suggested, so I'll definitely report back to you on that. But for now, I got my moisturizer on, I've got my primer on, so I'm going to work on the eyes. Since I'm using a pigment and there tends to be a little bit of fallout, I want to kind of get the eyes done out of the way before I do my foundation. Okay, let me get my brush ready, and for that I'm just going to use this brush. It's just a large shader brush, E60 from Sigma. I'm going to, before I do that though, hold on. Let's step back and let's prime our lid. I'm using the Sephora Jumbo Pencil in beige. I'm just going to put this all over the eye and then just rub it in with your finger. So now you've got a nice sticky base. And then I'm going to take my MAC pigment in tan. I'm also going to spray my brush with some Fix Plus. And then I just kind of tap it on the back of my hand, tickle some of that pigment, and then just pat that, don't rub, pat all over the lid. And then I just go in with a clean, fluffy brush. This is just a Sigma Tapered Blending E35. There's nothing on it right now. I just want to soften up that crease a little bit. And now I'm going to go in with some matte shades. And this is from the Sonia Kashuk Ion Neutral palette. This is the matte palette. And I'm just going to take this color right here and this color right here. I'm going to mix the two together and then just run that right in the crease. I don't really want to darken the crease too much. I just don't want it to have glitter all up in my crease. Just really, really soft. This whole look is about keeping it soft. It's about keeping it bronzy, not too dark. Just keeping it really glowy and pretty, which I think is a look that doesn't go out of style whatever the season is. And that's it for that. And then I'm going to take this brush, which is a Sigma Small Tapered Blending E45, and I'm going to take the slightly darker color right here, tap that in, and then I'm just going to focus on the very outer corner of my eyeball, my eyelid, I should say, and then just kind of darken the very, very outer corner. You don't want to bring it in too much. Then go back with that tapered blending with nothing on it and just buff out that edge. And that's it. Apart from the liner, the eyes are done. I told you, it's very simple and very easy. Now let's work on the rest of the face. I'm going to get my foundation. Today I'm using the Makeup Forever HD in the number 128. This is one of my favorite foundations. I really, really love it for a beautiful dewy look. If you have oily skin, I wouldn't recommend it only because it is quite dewy. and it's got some luminosity to it, but I don't have oily skin. I do wish I had a little bit of oily skin because sometimes my skin tends to be really, really dry, but you know, is what it is. I'm going to use this Urban Decay buffing brush, even though it's really not my favorite because it sheds, but my Sigma one is dirty. So just going to work that in. That looks good. I'm going to switch to a damp beauty blender and then just pat that all in place. So once you have your foundation all in place, it's time to do the brows. I'm going to just brush them through with a spoolie. And then I'm going to start with my MAC pencil in Spiked. I'm going to do a more in-depth video on how I do my eyebrows because otherwise this would take forever. So I'm just going to go through it and then I'll show you what they look like when they're done. Once you have your brows done, I just want to make sure I set them in place. I use my Anastasia Clear Gel. Hopefully, you're all blessed with gorgeous brows, the perfect arch, like my friend Brie. She's got the most gorgeous, gorgeous eyebrows with the perfect arch. She does not have to fill them in whatsoever, and you know, not fair. Where's my concealer? Okay, going in with my concealer, I'm using my Maybelline Instant Age Rewind in medium, and I'm going to blend this out with my damp beauty blender. Okay, now I'm going to go in with my liquid liner. This is my Stila Stay All Day Waterproof Liner in Intense Black. If you want me to, I can do an in-depth video about how I do my liner because I feel like it's just a way that works for me and it's really no-brainer. But right now I'm just going to start right here at the corner and then just run it in. Great. Now that I have that, I'm going to highlight under my eyes. I'm using MAC's Prep and Prime in Radiant Rose. I'm actually going to highlight all over. And now remember that I wore this look. Really, Laura? How is that the center of my nose? Come on, girlfriend. Get it together. Now remember, I wear this look at night, so it is a little bit heavier than I would wear during the day. And during the day, I wouldn't wear as much makeup unless I was filming a video and unless I was going somewhere really nice. But to run errands and stuff like that, you know, I don't think it's necessary. Just blend it out with damp beauty blender. And then I'm using this Sephora, it's a crease brush, the Pro Crease Brush in number 10, and I'm using that with my Benefit Powder Flage. And I'm going to set my under eyes with this. I like to use a brush like this because it's small enough so that I can sort of really put it in the places I want it. And I just kind of do this. How sexy is that? Does that look? And then to set everything else, I'm using my MAC MSF in medium. That's what it looks like. I think I'm going to use this brush. This is a Bobbi Brown powder brush. And I just, like that. I'm just going to take a brush like this. This is the Sonoli's 305. I'm going to go with that dark brown color that we used on the outer V of our eyes. I'm just going to run that through the bottom lash line. Now it's time for bronzer and blush. I'm using my Buxom bronzer in Tahiti. I love this, but this is a dupe for something else, which I'll have to share that with you in my dupes video. And I'm just using the Bobbi Brown bronzer brush, and I'm just going to take it on like one side like so. Because remember, I'm not going in for a really heavy contour. Just want like a real bronzy look. And just put it in the hollows of the cheek. Like that. You can buff it out better, of course. Don't forget the forehead. Jaw. Down the neck. Oh, it smells like coconuts. But the lime in the coconut. And now for my blush, I'm using MAC Sunbask Oh, why is this so beautiful? And this is also a Bobbi Brown brush, blush brush. Tap it in there. And I just smile and then just tap it and feather it out on the apples of my cheek. You can really bring this as low as you want. It's really up to you. Sometimes I like to do the apple on my cheek, and sometimes I like to keep it up right on top. Look at that blush. And then I take this brush from Equal Tools. I don't even know what it is. It's a Dome bronzer brush. And mix those two together. Then, really quickly, I go back with my foundation brush and just run it right under here. Under where you contoured a little bit. Cleans things up a little if you brought your bronzer and blush too low. And then for a highlight, which is like my favorite part of this whole look, I'm using the beautiful, gorgeous Laura Mercier highlight in 01. I'm using this Sigma taper highlighter brush F35. I'm running that on top of the cheekbone. I like it because it's so subtle. There's no big sparkles. And then I take this with my finger and just run it under my brow. Set everything with my Fix Plus. Now give it a second to dry and set in place. Great. Now let's work on the lashes. I am using this YSL Baby Doll mascara. I have a sample of it from Sephora. I hate to say this, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to get myself a full size because it's one of the only high-end mascaras I've tried that actually is worth the money. Just going to put a couple coats on my lashes. And for lips, I'm going to just line my whole lip with the Sephora Nano Liner in Candid Candy. Outline my lips with my Rimmel liner in Natural, just lightly. And I'm just going to put a little bit of lipstick on. This is the Kiko lipstick that I got from Italy in number 500. It's a really nice nude. I really, really like it, but it is kind of nude, like really nude, so you have to kind of be careful with how you wear it, so you don't look like you did. And you could put a little bit of liner on. I instead am going to put on my Strawberry Shortcake, I'm in lip gloss, my Strawberry Shortcake Lip Butter by Revlon. Just to bring a little bit of color back into my lips. And you could definitely play up the lip with whatever sort of lipstick you want, whatever lipstick you feel comfortable wearing. But I really like the nudes and pinkies with this look especially. I just really, really love it. So anyway, that's the look. Hope you've enjoyed spending time with me. Leave any requests you have for this channel down below. And as always, I'll see you next time.